So, welcome to all the participants to this third day, forenoon session of the AICTE sponsored training program. I hope the first 2 days were useful and good technical knowledge was shared, which was useful for all of you. We are proud to have as our speaker Dr. Abhishek sir. Let me share a few words about the speaker. Dr. Abhishek sir is working as the institutional coordinator for R&D and assistant professor at the BMS College of Engineering, Bangalore. Welcome once again, sir. Sir is serving as a guest faculty at the Maastricht University, Netherlands. He is a graduate of Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Global Entrepreneurship Bootcamp specialized in new ventures leadership. Sir has obtained Masters of Engineering in Bioinformatics from University Visvesvaraya College of Engineering, Bangalore. His PhD was in Mental Health and Neurosciences from Maastricht University, Netherlands. Abhishek sir is a senior member of IEEE. He has served in various volunteering positions of IEEE. Currently, he is the chapter coordinator chair of the IEEE Bangalore section, treasurer of IEEE Computer Society Bangalore chapter, webmaster and MD chair for IEEE PES Bangalore chapter, and advisor for IEEE EMB BMSC chapter. Sir has received various grants from DST, DBT and BIRAC, and from abroad. Sir also worked as a research associate in the Center for Nanoscience and Engineering, Indian Institute of Science, IISc Bangalore. He has 2 patents filed in medtech space. He has more than 50 international national publications in conferences and journals to his credit. Sir, we are privileged and proud to have you amongst us today, sir. And warm welcome to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll start sharing my presentation.
So please, sir. So it's visible, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So good morning to all the attendees present here and also organizers. Thank you for inviting me to this AICTE sponsored training program. Today we'll be discussing about some of the devices, medtech devices or innovations which I have done personally, and also some of the smart devices which is available in the market for healthcare. So that's what is the topic which I'm going to deal today. So I'll tell you some of my experience on what I did and what I ended up. So it was long back when I applied for MIT Global Entrepreneurship Bootcamp, and it was literally drinking from fire hose. So it was a very vigorous session which we underwent, and we were 130 students in that class, and it was very nice experience at MIT. And then later, once that is done, we also won the MIT Bootcamp, and then so this was some of the pictures of that. And after winning the MIT Bootcamp, it was that we started our own company known as Glucotech Inc. So this was more about, again, one more smart tech device where we actually started doing something very fancy as well as very helpful. So we had a device which was more of like a earring for people with gestational diabetes. So gestational diabetes is a condition which is for mothers who are in a pregnancy, and during pregnancy they'll have diabetes, and as soon as pregnancy is over they will be not having diabetes. So it's during the gestation period they'll have diabetes. It's almost 1 in 10 people will have gestational diabetes, and the implications are very large. The baby may be obese, even if it is severe, that it can harm the baby as well as mother. So we thought we'll work on that particular space and come up with a non-invasive glucometer, like the one which you check like AICTE and things like that. So we thought we'll come up with our own device of AICTE. Where it is not invasive, there is no requirement of pricking and then oozing the blood out and then taking it. Instead of that, we'll have more of a non-invasive way. So because it's gestational diabetes, because it's ladies, so for them, we started with a ear kind of device where they can wear a ear wearable device where they can wear a ear ring, and then they'll be able to measure the glucometer on their mobile phones. So this was the whole idea. We developed a prototype, and then we have else. The journey didn't end. I also went to a couple of their boot camps and then also beyond. So another device which we are working, which we had worked before, was on one of the device which we got Gandhian Technological Innovation Award at Rashtrapati Bhavan, New Delhi. Exactly in 2016, March 13th. So we had got this award where this device is again a wearable device for women, where the smartness here is if you have seen any delivery or if someone has undergone that, they would know that they do something as non-stress test where they will give some stimulus and try to see if it is the right time to deliver baby and what is the stress level involved and things like that. So for that, they also take some graphs and then do manual way of partogram where they will plot something. So we thought instead of that, can we do kind of automation? And this was derived in one of the hackathons, and now it's kind of a product which you can see on the right side. So it's a wearable device where the details of mother's pulse rate and fetal heart rate, maternal body temperature, and number of contractions, how much is the duration of contractions, all those things will be displayed on the screen, and they can do it. It's more like an ultrasound, but it's more sophisticated way of ultrasound where the signals are also being seen, not only one of the fetal heart rate, but also many other things like Doppler machine. So this was also funded with the seed money, and we developed, and that became a startup of one of my students. So another one is Smart Eye Kiosk for community screening. So this one is more of for elite group of people. So this is more like in airports or malls where we can just put this kind of device, and that device will be seen by, will be used by someone who are waiting for their flight. They just go, they put their chin and try to take their images. So retinal images like anterior imaging, posterior imaging images, as well as refraction measurement, IPD interpupillary distance, and so on. So it's nothing but the back of the eye and front of the eye, both of them imaging will be done. And the beauty of it is everything is automated. There's no requirement of any person. It's like a ATM machine. You don't need anyone to operate it. So similarly, we have this machine, a kiosk, where we don't need anyone to operate it. So this was one of the device which we developed, and that is been now in the commercialized, and Dr. Bharat Hegde and Vijay Shri, they have taken the concepts forward, and now they have their own company. So these were initial designs. This was funded by Neng Teng Fong Healthcare Innovation Program, Singapore, and we had a tripartite agreement with Nanyang Technological University and Toxin Hospital, and then we developed this device, and these are some of the initial stage of the device. Now those device has been shipped to Singapore for clinical trials, and also a company started here with a different agenda of doing more of virtual reality, is known as auto use device. So coming to the other one is virtual reality device, where we have IEEE. We also published this in one of the conference of IEEE. And if you see here in the animation that this is called as mirror therapy, which they do for people who are amputated, their limbs are amputated in war or in accidents or anything of that kind. Even though they don't have arm, because of the body is not used to not having the arms or forelimbs or hind limbs. So they feel that there is some pain which is coming out, which is more of psychological or physical, that's still debatable. But still, they do some tests like this, known as mirror therapy, where they just try to do exactly what they're trying to do on the screen. So we implemented some virtual reality programs and for this, and now it's more of rehabilitation without doing mirror therapy, which doesn't have much of success. So another project which we had done was on low cost, safe, high resolution, easy to use digital X-ray machine. So this was funded by Department of Science and Technology, where if you see the regular one thing which is common in India, unfortunately, is we witness many accidents whenever we travel on road. So in those accidents, by the time when they're transferred to the nearest hospital, the hospital may have X-ray facility or may not have. If they don't have, they will do the preliminary examination and they'll send to the X-ray facility nearest laboratory. They get their X-ray done and again come back to the hospital and get their treatment or operation or anything of that kind. So it may take little more time than expected. So that's why what we thought was, can we come up with more of portable and low cost X-ray so that it can be like, for example, ambulance can be empowered with such kind of X-ray machine, or all the clinics can be empowered with such X-ray machine. So what we did was we just put one detector and source, and then more of, instead of having uh, conical way of exposure of X-ray, we try to have, can we have something of line way of X-ray. So instead of having conical where the exposure is more, can we have only one single line where exactly the crack is, that can be analyzed, and then those part can be taken in chunks and stitched in image processing. So this was the project which went on for 2.5 to 3 years, and the technology is being trying to transfer to one of the industries whom we had worked with. So these were the facilities which was created for that, and also we filed a patent for this, and some of the uh, awards also we received for this innovation. But one interesting thing, if you see many innovations, maybe it may get commercialized and it may not. But one thing, all these devices, especially whenever we think about smart devices or anything of that kind, so we see that all these kind of images, it may so happen that it will, there are some recalls also which will happen. What do you mean by recall? Many of the agencies like FDA and some of the government agencies, they may recall the device, or the company, they themselves will recall. For example, if you remember Samsung, there was a huge changes which was done in the Samsung mobile phones, where they said you're not allowed to bring the mobile phones in flights and many other public places. You have to get it replaced and things. That was a major kind of recall. And also in Nokia, they did one major recall, was BL5C, a battery which they used. It used to get burned while charging. So there was some flaw in it. And if you take automobile sector also, it can be nano cars or any other such similar things. Even a small parts may be recalled by the company or some of the agencies. If you take, but we cannot take chances in, especially in medical devices recalls, especially in medtech sector. Though the recalls have been increasing, but it is also the number of products which is trying to be launched is also increasing. So it's not easy. In medical devices, we have three different types of classes. Class 1 is very minor things where it is not too tough to handle. Class 2 is a little tougher, and class 3 is more machines like MRI, CT and all, which is more harmful than the class 1 and class 2 devices. In India, we call as class A, B, C, D, which is almost similar. Class A is equivalent to class 1, class 2 is like B and C, and class D is 3. But the number of patients increased, injured is also increasing because of that. Few of them, some of the device barriers which we see, is it can also lead to death, disability, hospitalization, and things like that because of medical device recalls. So it's been increasing. The recalls are increasing, but also if you see the devices, the development of devices is also increasing. But more number we see in class 2 devices than any other two classes. The reasons for such kind of recalls is because of incorrect results, labeling error, regulation violation, some kind of contamination, malfunctioning, manufacturing errors, and so on and so forth. But though this is old graph, the graph hasn't changed much maybe. But if you see in detail, you see that many medical devices has been recalled. So whenever you make things smart, automated, and things like that, there is a problem that it can also cause a lot of recalls. Another success, just a poll question to see if all of you are active. What do you think? Fitbit kind of thing, like MI band or anything of that kind, do you think it's a success or failure? How many of you are using? So let's hear from, if you have, I guess you should be able to put the chat on the chat window. If you can type saying, do you like Fitbit? I mean, are you using Fitbit? Is Fitbit success or failure? Or we can call it a smart watch. So I'll wait for a couple of minutes to check if you can answer. Is smartwatch or Fitbit kind of things, is it success or failure is what I'm asking you the question. So people say yes, they're using it, but is it success or failure? What do you think? People are using it. It's a success. Okay. So few of you are telling success, few of you are telling it's, I see majority of you are telling success. Any other answers? So I see that we are almost, yeah, it fulfills our needs, so it's success. There are almost 50 participants here. Few of you have answered. So it's, I would say, yes, it is success. Also, there is problem of failure. If you see another follow-up question, how many of you charge your mobile phone at least twice a day? Maybe morning, evening, afternoon, or you would have been plugged in every time when you're using. How many of you do that? Yeah, accuracy is the question in Mr. Venkatesh says that, but so the follow-up question is, do you charge your mobile phone at least twice a day? How many of you do that? Or you're happy with it just one time you do it and you will come up? So many of us, we see that it's only once we'll be charging, twice we'll be charging. Okay, there are few people who are charging only once. That's good. But if you see the number of apps we are using on the mobile phone, at an average around 20 apps, 20 features or 20 apps we are using. But the problem with mobile phones still people are struggling is, if you take a brand new phone, the charge may come more than a day. But as and when you start using, as and when your features increases, your apps increases, the charging is really concerned. So wherever you go, you'll have charger in your bag, or you'll have a power bank in your bag, or you will try to see where I can fit in the plug so that you can charge your mobile phones. So this is something very common all of us are facing. And second thing, when we come back to the Fitbit or such kind of MI band or any kind of wearable bands, it is automated, it is good, it is really good. And but only problem here is we feel that the charging of mobile phone itself is a challenge. Then you want to charge another device which you are wearing. So many of us are not really used to charge mobile phones very often. Again, but still you are forced to, because without mobile phone it's very tough for communication. Similarly for Fitbit also, again doing such kind of charging is still a problem. But who knows? There may be something with Moore's law and other things. There may be some technologies which will come that you just charge and wait for fast charging is there, and now we are coming with electric vehicles. So the battery system, I mean, there's a lot of funding available if you want to work and increase the efficiency of the battery system. So we are coming to the other point about accuracy of these devices, how good it is. So we are also doing one research as we speak, that which we have taken 3 different devices and we are trying to see which one is good and which one is not good, which one we can take it forward, is something which we are trying to do. So just think about it. So I use the same device. I'll use 3 devices. I'll put 2 on my left, 2 on my right hand, and then try to see whether the number of steps, the heart rate, the way it is changing, the health parameters, is it coming same, or the error, how much is the error, is it too high or too less, which one is more accurate is still under question. But each one say they are accurate in ideal conditions and others, but coming to the normal conditions, whether it is accurate. So these kind of devices, especially in the field of medical medtech innovation, there was something known as Holter monitor, which started long back in 1949. It's more about cardiac monitoring for long time monitoring. It's maybe for few hours, not just that you see and you go off, you will be doing monitoring for longer time. Next is Medphone, which they came up with their first telemedicine device in 1989 to treat patients who is needing defibrillator. So it's more of, then again automation came into picture, or more of technology came into picture. Then robotic surgery, Da Vinci is one of the systems. Many of the hospitals started using it, where the robotic surgery is being done more effectively. Remote surgery is being practiced. But however, there are many recent remote medical care systems like communication, vital signs, periodic monitor, remote surgery security, remote diagnosis. Most of the recent studies have also been done. But however, the trends indicate that future of remote medical care is boundless, and growth industry that will save millions of dollars and life. So it's very important, but there is one major issue is about privacy and security concerns. What if someone can do some way, or the smart devices or remote devices, they'll do something such that it will be a threat to the person rather than help for a person. And privacy of data is also not taken care if we do more of such kind of activities. What if somebody hacks in between and steal all the data and then make harm to that particular person? So there are many such, there are many such ECG monitoring systems. If you see body sensors networks and many of such devices, if you see now everybody is talking about getting everything on mobile phone. Health, wealth, health you can control using your mobile phones, your exercises, the checkups. It can also have something like your ECG monitoring on your mobile phones and things like that. Even if you want to make money, you can use mobile phones, transfer and all. I remember those days, which were not very far before. Like if you want to transfer money, you have to go to bank, fill a challan, give it. But now if you want to pay someone, you just ask them, give me your Google Pay number or some phone pay number, I'll transfer the money to you. So that's so easy now. Within a second, it happens rather than doing. So there's a lot of complicated things which are happening at very click of a button. But another thing, wireless body area networks, if you see, this is one of the important topic which many of us are working on, is if you take a body or a human being, there are many such sensors which are going inside the human, or which is attached to the human. It can be ECG sensor, it can be SpO2 or motion sensor, it can be some other kind of sensors. So if you see here, you will get the ECG, the heart rate. You'll also get if the person is walking or jogging correctly. Geriatric problems can be solved, like old people, if they fall down, such kind of fall detection sensors can be put. The oxygen saturation is correct, and so on and so forth. So all these things are connected via some networks, and it goes to internet, and internet is connected again to different people. Either it's for emergency, so your physician, there'll be someone caregiver, your caretaker, someone will be there where you'll do. So this connection looks very simple, but there's a lot of complicated communication protocols which has been followed at these points. Again, privacy and things are really concerned. There are also something where you take all the activities and you can do amazing analysis with these things, and this will help you to find out the pattern at which you can achieve something. Like you can achieve, you want to become very fit. How you can measure that is you can use many of these parameters and do it. So it's both healthcare, wellness, and also prevention. Everything can be done. There are also some of the sensors like this which will calculate if the way you're walking is correct, and it can also do something as gait analysis, where there'll be analysis which is done by making a person walk, the way he walks, the way she walks, all those things can be calculated. So there are also some of the parameters which you will see is pulse oximeters. Now there are pulse oximeters which are very small, independent, which will be almost the size of your finger, where you just clip it to your fingers and it will start telling how much is the oxygen saturation. Unlike previous days where it's a huge machine, tabletop pulse oximeters and all, this is also equally accurate. Just you have to have a battery, put it, and it will start working. Even ECG machines, it was very big now. Now it's been miniaturized. It's been more smart that it will tell you what kind of analysis, what is a possibility of the conditions of the heart. And also the number of leads is also reduced in such conditions. So there is also a lot of research which has been done to have the golden hour saved. For example, if there is some serious emergency is required for that one particular point of time, by the time you take him to hospital, there may be some kind of calamities which can happen, or the person may become even more weak, even more, the blood would have gone even more and things like that. So they have been some of the infrastructures which are coming that it will be continuously monitoring somebody who's at risk, somebody who meets with an accident, and everything will be updated so that by the time you reach everything, there will be a lot of prevention kind of mechanism will be done. Location detection and how much time it will take to reach the hospital and things like that. So these kind of wearable devices as well as smart devices, it's very important that these wearable devices are something which you can use on your body very comfortably without affecting your day-to-day activities. And if you have some kind of support, we have seen many of the ICUs, modernized ICUs. They also called as smart ICUs, where they connect all the ICU beds to one single nurse station. This is in practice from long time, but the new smartness is putting a wearable device to the patient, and nurse station need not go every time and check what's the parameter, what's the BP and other things. Everything comes to your table. You have to just go whenever there is emergency rather than going very often. So only again, the privacy and security is still a concern for these kind of things. So there came another trend, which is more of getting your hospital at your home rather than you going to the hospital. There are many apps, even during the pandemic, you don't like to go to the hospital to get some treatments done or get some innovations, discussions done. So what we do is, even with the doctor, you want telemedicine. That option has been very popularly utilized nowadays. And if you're not still comfortable, you want to meet the doctor, you have to just, in the app, you have to book an appointment. The doctor will come to your place and you do it. At first, it will be a little expensive, and it's more for regular checkup. And if there is some issue which you feel it is very important to be discussed with the doctor. And the biomedical sensors and wireless communication is playing very wide part here. And also now elderly people are advised to stay at home, vaccinate and stay at home. But staying at home and getting the access to healthcare is the problem. So these kind of challenges can be implemented the way hospital at home. So some of the things which we can think of very recently, there was one of the research council which came up with some of the projects which can be done is more like a nano sensors which has been used. So instead of using even a huge sensor, even the finger sensor which I was talking, it's miniaturized. Still, there is a scope of more miniaturization. So, for example, hearing aid, instead of the one which is long with something at the ear, and they feel that people will be judgmental. Just a dot kind of thing you can just put in here and it will work. Artificial eyes, artificial voice. So sense impressions can be changed. All these things are possible by such kind of foresighted project. So limb movements, and it's just that your limb movements can or some contractions, or you want to drink a water, at that time there will be people who can just move their arms and limbs and then try to just think, and it will work for you. Lab on chip is another one. There is many companies of late coming up with one single chip which will do 15 or a dozen of tests with just one drop of blood. So invasiveness is little less. There is no poking and all those things now, and just a one drop of blood can solve a lot of things and give a lot of answers which you're looking at. And more whenever we talk about treatment at home, these sensors and the trends which we will talk about in vital signs and parameters, the detection of the trend analysis, automatic detection of unnormal situations, alarm in case of emergencies, all those things can be treated. But only thing, again, the challenge is in case there is an alarm, how far is the healthcare system? So a country like India, how can we implement these things more effectively where ambulance also have to come through the traffic? It's not that though they'll have privileges, but they have to go through the traffic and come. So if you are in a place where the access to healthcare is little far, how fast it can come? There are some standards which has been developed, and there are some more standards which is in process of development for all this wireless networks and body area networks, which are very good, and there are some standards which are very good for operation. For execution of these kind of wireless networks. But only problem is we are not sure if these standards which has been developed can be used for medical purpose, but there are again certain set of teams which they are working on medical purpose of standards. We'll also see some of the personal healthcare devices. It is something like previously there was a huge device which we had to use and come up with, but communication is so easy now. I remember like 15-20 years back, incoming was 6 rupees and outgoing was 12 rupees, and now you see it's 6 paisa. I would say literally zero you pay for your internet and your mobile phone usage, SMS and everything. So you're paying very less, maybe 3 months 500, 3 months 600 or something like that. But if you see healthcare system, there is a lot of transformation. It is happening, but not as fast as the computing or the telecommunication world. So there are many things which has come. Watches is there, and there are keychains. There are again some lockets which you can use. All these things are having some of the very important things which you can use in your day-to-day life, rather than having a exclusive device you can use with your day-to-day life. Blood pressure monitors also, this has become more smarter, where you need not wear and pump and do that. It is very smaller in size now. There's no requirement of person. You just flip it along your wrist and it will tell you how much is the blood pressure in your body. Insulin pump, this is also a major thing which has done. So previously, even now also, many of them, they take insulin between the thighs or somewhere in the stomach and things like that. So instead of that, there are many devices which has come where they just put it like a strap and a small needle which acts like a catheter, and it injects the insulin in the fat muscles, so that your blood sugar level will come down or it is maintained. And it is automated, that every time you yourself have to remember and start poking everywhere you want. But later, now the devices have become so smart that you have to just adjust things. It will automatically detect what's the blood glucose level and it will start injecting the insulin. There are some more devices to find out the cardiac output of patient, how much is the oxygen, how much is the blood pressure, how much is the temperature, what is the ECG, everything is variable. You just wear it across your arm and it will tell you what it is. There is also some of the activities, if you go to many metro stations, maybe in some cities like Delhi and all, there are some kinetics kinetics cameras which you have to just do something like this and it will give you some activity to do and it will show you some outputs. So these are being used, those kind of accelerometers are being used in regular day-to-day life to understand if a person is having good activities and if he's able to do more of activity and more of healthy activities and so on. There is also another smart way of working is the plasters. So if you see if somebody is having cut in his hand or wound in his some part of the body, you just put a plaster. But these plasters have also become smart, where they use digital plaster. They'll just put it and it will tell you whether what time it will take to heal, and it will also tell you what stage it is, whether it is worrisome, whether there is infection. Everything it will tell you in your mobile phone. So that's what is digital plaster which has come up. So these were some of the generic things which are smarter way what people have done till now. And more importantly, healthcare is become smarter because of wearable devices which we are getting. But there is also some of other projects. So initially I discussed 3-4 projects which I've done. I'll discuss some more projects which I've done in these field of smart way of using the devices. So this is one of the project which we have done with UTS Sydney, where a person is driving a car, driving in one particular path where he is driving, and we have seen what is the stress level and what is the speed, response speed whenever you tell them to change the lane from one place to another. That is the first paper which we executed. That is, we saw go in direction A, direction B, direction from left to right, change your lane, all those things. Whenever we do such kind of brain dynamic task switching activities, how easily it is responding, how faster you are responding. And we also did another one where they will also do some kind of what are the if we give voice commands, how easily they'll respond. So this was some of the setup which was done. The car was modified such that it will accommodate all these things. So we had a lot of EEG devices, wristbands, and cameras. Not just one camera, we also had a couple of cameras to cover all his reactions whenever he's driving. What kind of car it was. It was more like an Innova kind of car, and some of the recordings of the face as well as driving information and his EEG and other vital parameters were taken. Another set of my students who did some analysis was on EEG signals for different emotions using OpenBCI. So it's becoming more smarter and smarter. So what we did was we showed some of the videos which denoted in general to be very happy, in general to be sad, and in general to be fearful. So when we did these kind of activities, we found that uh, different activities, we were able to classify them into happy, sad, and fear as and when we acquire. And we saw that this is more easier way. So we used OpenBCI kit to do that. Also, we did stress analysis of game player using EEG. So we acquired EEG of a person whenever he's trying to play a couple of games, in particular racing games and first-person shooter. What is the stress level if he's using first-person shooter, and what is the stress level if he's doing racing games? This was another project of more of wearable device, which was biomonitoring system, where it used to give different kinds of analysis of what is a what is the pulse oximeter, what is the other parameters like temperature and so on and so forth, more like a patient monitor, but it is more of wearable. Another one which we did was bio multi-parameter portable monitor and alert system, where in case some kind of longer longer duration will acquire, and we'll see if there is some kind of abnormality seen. As soon as there is an abnormality, it will give uh, some kind of, you know, what do you call a SMS or an alert saying there's an emergency, you have to take care of that person. This was another one with FitoH, one of the company in Oxford University, where we did a wearable device instead of having the regular way of analysis. So we said instead of having the Doppler signals in the machine, can we extract some of the signals and do some kind of processing? We also did one more amazing project, which was EEG controlled robot, where the robo was EEG was acquired, and whenever you used to concentrate on one particular point, it used to go. That is the next project. Yeah, this project was we used NeuroSky modified little bit. Whenever you used to concentrate on one point, it used to change the direction of the robo, or it used to stop. And whenever you used to blink, one blink used to give another one, and another blink used to give another one. So this is Bhavna Kant and Shruti and Parampreet. Bhavna Kant is now the first lady fighter, air fighter, who is all over news every alternate day. So she worked with me on this. And another one we did was prognostic and healthcare monitoring system, where we monitored everything at the early stage, rather than more of prediction model, rather than doing anything at the late stage after the design. After the disaster. Couple of more slides. So we did something on Cyclops is one of the company which was incubated in BMSE. They came up with a balanced eye where vertigo is one of the problem, where people, even though they're walking straight, they think that they're losing their balance, and it's more like some kind of activity which is done in the brain. So to monitor that for longer term, they came up with nice glasses like this, which is in market for a lot of analysis, which they'll do. So they'll have a goggle. It will be on the cloud, which will do some analysis and report to the clinician saying this is good, this is not good. Okay. So final thing I want to say before I close is that more importantly, innovation is invention into commercialization. So we have also done a lot of innovations, but if you see the one which I've shown earlier at the starting, they are close to the productization. That's why we call innovation. But if you see the one which I've shown after the generic talk, those are the things which are more of very generic and very talk, which was done out of interest, and it's more of passion, but it didn't see the commercial value except one or two. So it's always important to understand that invention and commercialization, if you multiply, if you make money, then only it's called as innovation. If not, it's just passion, hobby, or anything you can call it. So these were some of the references. I'll share the slides with the organizers. They'll share it with you. And if you have any specific questions or anything else, then we can take it from now. Any questions by any of you?
Participants, if you could ask some questions. Or even you may post your questions in the chat window. Participants, kindly you may ask your questions to the guest.
So there are a few more devices which has come off late, is very new devices during pandemic, which are very smart way of understanding your healthcare or maintaining your fitness. Is one of my mentor who works in Germany, who is a professor in Germany. He showed me that device. So it's more like a treadmill, but the treadmill is more, instead of having the regular way of catching your hand, it has that you run around and you'll have your laptop. You can start working on the laptop while you're walking on the treadmill. That was another one which feels more smarter. And there is also another device which I remember is a device where in your iPhone you can plug in your charger and see what is. It's more like your AICTE device. You just plug in and you just ooze the blood out, and it will measure how much is the glucose level. So I guess it is something on eye health or something was there. And another one is for water bottles have also become very smart, that it will give you some how much a person has used, and it will tell you what it has some timers where it will tell you this is the time you should drink your water, this is not when you should drink, and it will give you some alerts for you, and it will keep the, I mean, it also has inbuilt filters. It purifies the water, keeps your bottle clean, and it will tell you the amount of minerals it is there in the bottle and things like that. And fridge, even the refrigerators have become smarter, which means that it will give you what is the menu it will have in terms of health, how easy you can have your menu prepared at your home, how much it will take, what are the ingredients it can have, and so on and so forth. So we have got a couple of questions on the chat, I guess. So let me read that out. Can we continuously wear smartwatch? They contain sensors. Is there any side effects? So yeah, I don't think there are any bigger side effects, except that you are so used to smartwatch. If you start using it, only thing is, can you, the question is something synonymous to, can we continuously use our mobile phones? They contains a lot of sensors. Is there any side effects? So the radiations and things like that. So similarly, it's more like your mobile phone you have a smartwatch. There's no side effect as such which has been proven, but we are not sure, because the smartwatches have been in trend from past 5 to 6 years, more and from past 2 to 3 years, because people have become health conscious. But even otherwise, it's not that harmful, is what I feel. So can you suggest a way of excelling the area of clinical research from the scratch? So clinical research is something which is yeah. So clinical research is something. There are different parts of clinical research. One part of clinical research is biomedical research, which I was talking about, where you try to give some solutions for the doctors. So you have to talk to, so any of these projects which I was discussing, it's all about from the horse mouth, which means the doctors, they gave us a problem, and rather than we tried to come up with our own problem and try to solve it. We went to doctors, we interacted with them, and later we realized, okay, this is the problem and that is why we are solving. But if you see, coming back to your question, clinical research, there are different parts. As I said, one is biomedical research, where you do as some solutions to the doctors in terms of hardware, software, or anything. Clinical research, if you see, again, it's more like coming up with some drug. That can be clinical research, coming but with some tool which will help directly the patient. You work with doctors, you acquire some images or signals or some values of the patients and do some analysis. That's more of clinical research. How can you become excel in the field? Is it's very easy in doing research in clinical. Only thing is, just go to a doctor and have a doctor along with you, and as soon as you start to a doctor who's inclined towards research, they'll have 101 problems talking to you. It's not just one problem. They'll have 101 problems which they will come and talk to you. So please ensure that you have doctor on board, and they'll give you problems. You try to solve those problems. Takes real-time problems rather than I know papers they're publishing real time and exiting problems, but it's more of research point of view. Practically, you will see when people start using it, when people will start using it, when doctors agree. So go to doctors and start talking to them. They'll be able to give you some answers, and they'll be able to give you some tips about what is that they are looking at, what are the problems they are facing, and things like that. And can we use IoT sensors in image compressions in WSN network? So the wireless sensor network, yes, but this question, you have too many technologies here. So IoT sensor, Internet of Things, is nothing but you sit, I mean, in basic terms, if you see you sit somewhere or you sit in the room and you try to control something using via your internet. It can be Wi-Fi, wired, or anything. But image compression is a field. I mean, nowadays you have a lot of technologies which has come with the image compression, so it shouldn't be a problem. You can use it. Only way is the technology point of view. You are using multiple technologies to solve this. That you should have expertise in multiple things when you do it. I have recently joined currently in COVID duty. I'm doctor working at AIMS Raipur. I have few good ideas, but not finding the right direction. I feel I can have good interaction with you for possible future development of few equipments running in my mind. Yeah, definitely. I mean, always we need some doctors. Maybe, so you can share your email ID or something on the chat window, and people present here who wants to do hardcore research. So always there are, please get connected with the doctors, and doctors need engineers, engineers need doctor. Whenever they're doing their duty, they'll be so immersed that they will, they'll come back home and they'll be retrospecting saying, if I had something like this, I would have done that. So that way they will be able to show you some of the research problems which are really very good to solve. So please talk to the doctors. And we also have one doctor from AIMS Raipur here. I'm sure, I mean, he or she, I'm not sure, but they have very good idea, and I am sure we can help them also. So unfortunately, we don't have a forum where doctors throw problem and engineers pick and solve it. And the problem with doctors, the talk which doctors talk, and uh, the engineers what they talk are always complicated, and both of them don't understand each other. And there comes biomedical engineer like many of us present here who can talk to talk to both of them and solve the problem in better way. So always there should be a forum. Maybe this platform can be where if you're willing, there can be a group where they can send an email to each other, and try to build a platform where doctors present here can put some problems and engineers can solve it. It may be little time consuming, but I'm sure it will be a productive exercise to do that. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, in fact, in an IoT environment, there are so many devices, and there is cloud or whatever, edge computing, whatever. And my doubt is the device-to-device communication and the data they are handling. The data may be in an unformatted way, data may be of any kind. Now, is there a scope of research in this machine-to-machine communication and this data handling?
So machine to machine communication and data handling. So there is a new technology which has come up, which is known as edge technology. I mean, edge computing.
Yes,
so
sir.
That will come really very handy if you're working in something on IoT and device to device communication. Because if you see what is edge computing in simple words is, you are computing almost at the time of data acquisition or data sending. So from one device, whenever you communicate to other device, you are doing computation right in your RAM, I mean in a smaller memory, very faster computation rather than putting inside memory, doing complicated computing and coming up. So this is one new technology you can explore for the solutions you're looking at.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Do we have any other questions?
Participants, do you have any other questions?
Sir, I have one question. Is my voice clear?
Yeah, please.
If we have an innovation, what are the different possibilities in India to go for product development? So whom we should contact or whom we should approach? As a faculty, we don't have much exposure to that particular. Can you give some suggestions on that, sir?
Sure, ma'am. So one thing which we should be thinking about is thanks to government, which is doing a lot of such activities in terms of innovation. So there are two components. Somehow we academicians are not trained to come up with a product very soon, unlike industry people, because industry that's their bread and butter. For academicians, it's more of research and teaching is bread and butter. So when these two people merge, then only the innovations can take the route whichever you want. So as an academician, what I'll do is I'll do some research. I'll see this may be the possible product. However, how good I do, it may not be a final product which is ready for the market. But what we can do is one thing we definitely can do is thinking about working with first thing is getting your ideas or getting the problems sitting at a college we may not get. We may solve only the problem which is in college level. But if we try to but if we try to talk to someone, for example, healthcare, go talk to doctors and some paramedics. If you're working in telecom industry, go talk to someone at the telephone exchange office or go talk to someone who is working in that field. So you have to talk to people. If you want to, if you're doing some research, you want to convert some innovation or some app for the food chain or go to hotels or people like that. So you should be trying to talking to them. That's one part. Now, once you have the proper problem and you have some possible solution, then go start discussing with some of the mentors you might have who are in industry, whom you can recognize as mentors, somebody who has got their product out, somebody who has experience in terms of education or in terms of implementation, who have got your product out in the market. That can be someone. So once you have their guidance, finally you can go to some industry and try to get some collaborate with them, asking them, this is my idea, this is my prototype, can you convert this into product and reach out to the market. So what government has done is they have started with something known as incubation center or innovation centers in colleges. There are many recognized innovation center like AICTE Innovation Center. There is TBI Technology Business Incubation Center funded by DST. They're not given to all the colleges, but they are, as per AICTE norms, if you see 2019, they've come up with entrepreneurship, entire policy of innovation, how it should happen in India. So that, and they've told a lot, 1% of entire college budget, which is really huge money to entrepreneurship.
आपको क्या दिक्कत है बुखार खांसी सर्दी
Yeah. So allot 1% of budget is what the policy says. They have to form a team, and the team should consist of somebody who's an entrepreneur, somebody who has experience, faculty member, and incubation head and things like that. So many colleges, even BMSC, we have our own incubation center where students get incubated, faculties get incubated, external people come and get incubated. So these are some of the platforms which you can check. If college where we are working, if we don't have, we'll go to the neighboring college where they're encouraging. Now those days have gone when you're competing with the college. Now you have to complement with the college. What facilities you have, the other college may not have that facility. So start sharing the facilities. Then the college innovation will grow as well as you'll also grow. And coming to funding, what are the different types of funding? You can think of different fundings which is available from different places like DST, DBT, and there is another ministries of different ministries. Each of them, they have one or the other such So such that we should have different these funding agencies have money up to 50 lakhs where we can go and we can try to apply, and getting 50 lakhs is not really tough. If you have really good innovation, you can go approach DSTDBT. There are many calls which are open throughout the year, which you can apply and try to get some money and try to do innovation. Once you have done, then try to commercialize it. Even one more initiative government of India has done is many of the ministries, whenever they give fund, they say you should involve industry from day one rather than end of your project. So from day one, and they should also invest some money as industry in cash or kind, and they should help the academicians to develop the product rather than just being one person who will just guide them. They should also sit with them and develop the product. So these are some of the initiatives which I can think of, which can help you to nurture your innovation into product.
So thank you, sir.
Yeah. So any other questions we have?
Any other questions from the participants? So maybe we can wind up the session, sir. I invite the coordinator, Natation, to share the thanks speech. Natation, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So I'd like to thank Mr. Appaji sir for kindly accepting our invite, though amidst his busy schedule, for having accepting our invite and giving this wonderful lecture. I hope that our participants would have benefited from this lecture. So thank you, sir. So thank you for giving this wonderful lecture, and I hope that you will have future contact with us also. Thank you, sir.
Sir, hoping for future collaborations with you, sir, and with your institute. Many messages are put in the chat box telling that the sessions were really wonderful. Hope you are seeing the messages. So from in your chat box, are the messages visible?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting.
So thank you once again from the management of our college and from our faculty team. So we are going to conclude the session. Over to the participants, please join back again at 2 p.m. So we have a session by Dr. Raju from NIT. He'll be sharing his insights on the project that he has done on